Thank you so much for joining in today's lesson. Today we are looking at pronouns. We are going to look at definitions. We are going to look at characteristics. We are going to look at types. So it's a fully packed lesson. I urge you to watch up to the end so that you don't leave out anything, because this is well researched and it goes into the details, but in a way that is palatable, in a way that you can understand. If you think this is your lesson, please watch up to the end. And if you're going to find value in this lesson, just make me one promise that you're going to like, you're going to share, and you're also going to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed so far. So without wasting your time, let's get started. Let's define a pronoun. A pronoun is a word that essentially just replaces a noun. Now, a noun is a naming word. It's a word that names a person, a thing, or a place. So in a sentence, if you can replace a noun with another word, that word is actually a pronoun. Let me give you a formal definition. A pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun in a sentence. Pronouns help avoid unnecessary repetition and make our communication clearer and more concise. Without pronouns, we would constantly repeat nouns, making sentences awkward and repetitive. I think when we speak, we need to speak in a clear manner. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Sarah said that Sarah would help Sarah's brother with Sarah's homework. Yeah, that sounds awkward and ridiculous. So for us to avoid such repetitions, we use pronouns. Now, let me give you that same sentence with pronouns. Sarah said that she would help her brother with his homework. This makes a lot of sense, actually, talking about Sarah in this sense, that where we mention Sarah once and the rest of the times that we're supposed to mention Sarah, we use pronouns. So those are the pronouns. Now, pronouns are essential for referring to people, places, things, or ideas without naming them repeatedly. They work alongside nouns to create variety and fluidity in both speech and in writing. And if you can do this, if you can use pronouns in an appropriate way, you'll be just the best at what you do in terms of writing. Let's look at characteristics of pronouns. Number one, they replace nouns, as we have seen so far from the example that I gave at the beginning. Now, let me give you another example. Tom is a good student. Tom studies hard every day. So you can see that we don't need to repeat Tom in the next sentence. We can replace that with a pronoun. So that would read, Tom is a good student. He studies hard every day. You can see how a pronoun has just replaced that noun. The second characteristic of pronouns is that they refer to antecedents. Let me give you this. A pronoun often refers back to a noun mentioned earlier in the sentence or text, called its antecedent. So let me give an example. Lisa bought a book. She loves it. Lisa bought a book. She loves it. Now, if you look at this sentence, we've got Lisa, which is a pronoun, and a book, Lisa, which is a noun, and book, which is another noun. And in the second sentence, we have she loves it. Now, in the second sentence, we don't have a mention of Lisa. We don't have a mention of the book, because these have been replaced by pronouns now. Because these pronouns are referring back to the nouns which were mentioned in the first sentence, those Lisa and book are antecedents of these pronouns. So she refers back to Lisa. Then it refers back to the book. That's what we mean. Number three, pronouns agree in number, gender, and person. What does this mean? Pronouns must match the antecedent in singular, plural form, gender, and perspective. So when you talk about male or female, but also when you talk about number in language, we are talking about plural or singular, like how many things. Is it a singular entity or is it plural entity? So let me just give you an example. The boy lost his bag. the boys lost their bags. Now, if you look at the two sentences on your screen, you will see that the boy is singular, therefore his as a pronoun is singular too. It matches. And then when we say the boys, you can see the boys is actually plural. And when we use a pronoun to represent the boys, we need to find a plural pronoun. Let's look at the sentence again. The boys lost their bags. So you can see we are using there to signify the boys are actually plural in number. So these are the characteristics of pronouns. Let's now look at the importance of pronouns. When we use pronouns, we become efficient because we don't need to think about repeating the same things or the same nouns. So we are going to make our sentences easier and shorter to follow. Then clarity. When we have pronouns, we are going to have this clarity in terms of the way we are talking about. If you remember the first sentence where we talked about Sarah helping Sarah's brother to do, homework, it's not very clear. So pronouns bring in clarity. The last reason we need to really think of pronouns as important is the fact that they bring about variety. Using pronouns prevents repetitive language, making writing more engaging. So when we use pronouns, we are going to be more engaging because we can use different pronouns for different nouns in a sentence, in a paragraph, or even in a larger text. Okay, so now let's start looking at different types of pronouns. So the first one that we are going to look at, personal pronouns. Let's look at personal pronouns. Personal pronouns replace names of people or things in a sentence or in sentences. They are used to refer to the speaker, the listener, or someone or something else. So in a sentence, if we've got someone speaking, someone listening, all those are nouns, and then those can be replaced. So personal pronouns replace names of people or things in the sentence. For example, we've got the first person, the person that is speaking. When you say I, me, those are pronouns that stand for the first person. And the plural of the first person is we, us, we, us. Then we've got the second person, the listener. Now let me just tell you how these things work. Like when people talk about second person, first person, third person. Second person, first person is the person that is speaking. And if I'm speaking to you directly, you are the second person. You are the listener, and these roles keep changing. So when you are speaking, I am the second person. When I am speaking, you are the second person. But if you and I are talking about someone else, let's say we are saying Lisa came to Zambia or Lisa visited Morocco, we know that it's not Lisa that's speaking to me just from that sentence, but we are speaking about Lisa. Therefore, Lisa becomes the third person. So when you hear first person, third person, it's just who is speaking or who is being talked about in that sense. Okay? If that's clear, let's talk about second person, which I've explained. Plural is you. Singular is you. That's the easiest. We always say, you did this. You did that. Whether you're talking to one person or you're talking to a group of people, we use you. And then we have third person point of view, which I already mentioned. When we talk about third person, we talk about he or she or it or her. There are a lot, because remember we said pronouns must agree in terms of gender. So if you're talking about a woman, we are going to say she. And if we are talking about a man, we are going to say he. If you're talking about a thing, we say it. And then the plural, if we're talking about a group, we say they, them. Those are the plural forms. So there's him, there's her, there's she. I'm going to put them on the screen for you to see what I'm talking about. Now, let me give you an example of each of these. So first person, we can say, I like teaching online. It's me, I. So instead of saying Kaunda likes teaching online, I say I like. Or we can say Musonda likes teaching. online. He is a good teacher. So he, we see how we have replaced, that's for the third person. And then for the plural, third person, we can say they came to town. Let me talk about something else maybe. Let me talk about reflexive pronouns. These are very interesting because reflexive pronouns are used when the subject and the object of a sentence are the same person. So if you have got in a sentence the subject and the object is the same, for example, he kicked himself, like kicking, the doer of the action did it to themselves. So let's look at an example. For singular, we say myself, yourself, himself, herself, itself. For plural, we say ourselves, yourselves, themselves. Let me give you examples in sentences. I taught myself how to play guitar. And by the way, I taught myself how to teach online, which is very easy to do. Anyone can do this. When you look at these sentences, you can go on and make your own. It's the subject. The subject is also the object. Whatever happens, whatever the subject does, it happens back to the subject. Okay, that's how these sentences work. But when do we use these? We use this when you want to reflect back to the subject. We also use these kind of pronouns when we want to emphasize the subject. For example, the president himself gave a speech. In that sense, you can see how we are saying this. When we say the president gave a speech, sometimes those speeches are read for them, but we want to say, no, it was himself. So we say the president himself or the man himself came out to see me. I was so privileged. There are a lot of situations. I went to see the president of Nigeria and the president himself gave me a chair or whatever he did. We use that to emphasize that or to put emphasis on the subject. Let's talk about indefinite pronouns. Indefinite pronouns. Indefinite pronouns refer to non-specific people or things. So non-specific people or things. For example, in the singular form, we've got anyone, someone, nobody, everybody, each. And in the plural form, we've got few, many, others, several. And in the singular, plural, depending on the context, there are some of the indefinite pronouns that we use both as singular and plural depending on the context. So in this group, we've got all, some, none, most. Let's look at some of the examples. Everyone is invited to the party, and this one is not specific anyone, it's anyone. Anyone is invited. And then we've got few showed up for the meeting. So it's not specific, it's just few, like who is few? You see what I mean? So we use indefinite pronouns. That's how they work. And then we've got another type of pronouns which we call possession or possessive pronouns. In terms of possessive pronouns, they show ownership or possession. Who owns what? Let's look at examples. This is my book. So my is a possessive pronoun showing that I own the book. And then we have mine, yours, his, hers, ours, theirs. All these are possessive pronouns. Let me illustrate this, and I'm going to give you an incorrect sentence. Firstly, this is the book of me. We don't say this is the book of me. We say this is the book of mine. Or this is my book. Actually, it's the best way to say it. This is my book. This is my book. So you need to know how to use possessive pronouns. And then we've got interrogative pronouns. I think interrogative sentences, which we are going to look at, I think in the coming lessons. We are talking about pronouns that are used to ask questions, like who, which refers to a person, like who is coming to the meeting, who is coming to the meeting. Or we can also have whom, which refers to a person as the object. Now, when we say who, let me make this difference. It's very important. Who is when we are asking about a person as a subject of the sentence. We know a subject of the sentence is the doer of the action. So when we say who is coming, like who is doing the act of coming, right? So we say who is coming. We don't say whom is coming. No, we use whom to refer to a person as an object. For example, Whom did you invite? So the invitee is the whom in that sentence. The whom refers to the invitee, and therefore when we are saying whom did you invite, so we don't say who did you invite, we say whom did you invite. I hope you get that difference. Okay, let's move on. Let's look at what refers to things or information. Some of you didn't even know that these question words are actually pronouns, right? Yes, they are pronouns in the sense that we are looking at them today, so you need to keep that in mind. Let's move on. What refers to things or information? For example, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite color? So what stands for the favorite color? What favorite color? Okay, which refers to choice among options. Which refers to choice among options. When we say which of these books do you want, we are talking about choice of those books among many books. So which represents that book which you are going to choose, or which is your favorite, whatever it is that, or whatever question you are asking. That's how it rolls. Then we've got demonstrative pronouns. These pronouns point to specific things. For example, when we have singular, which is this and that, this is something that's here, that is something that's, not where you are, somewhere there. That's how these work. So when we talk about plural, it's these many things, mean these things, and then those, like somewhere there in terms of space, those. Okay, let's look at the usage. This is my favorite movie. It means that this movie is near. Like maybe you have got a tape or you've got a laptop and there's a movie. You can say this. But then we say those are the books. It means they are far from where you are. Those are the books, like the books I have in the shelf there. So that's how it works. Okay, we keep moving on. It's also incorrect. It's incorrect to say I like these movies. I like these movies. The correct way to say is I like these movies, because remember, plural, the singular pronoun must agree with the singular noun. Then the singular, the plural pronoun must agree with the plural noun. That's how it rolls. That's how it works. Let's look at subject and object pronouns. Oh, this is very interesting. And this is why I said that this lesson is not very deep in terms of being detailed, but it's well researched to cover most aspects. So we move on. Subject pronouns act as the subject of a sentence, while object pronouns receive the action. Let's look at the subject pronouns. I, you, she, it, we, they. These are subject pronouns. I'm going to put them on the screen for you. You need to remember this. For example, when you say he is reading a book, he is actually a subject. He is a subject in that sentence. Then we have object pronoun examples like me, you, him. This is why in Zambia, where I live, we start a sentence with me, even when the sentence is an active sentence. For example, we say, me, I'm going to town. Me, I'm going to town. Me is an object. It should not be the actor. It should not be the performer of the action. It should come as the receiver of the action, because me, you, him, her, it, us, them, these are object pronouns. So when you create sentences, let them be objects in that sentence. For example, the teacher praised me. The teacher praised them. You see, that's how they work. You can't say me praised. No, we don't. It doesn't work like that. Hope you understand the idea, and if I'm very fast, let me know in the comment. I just have a lot of things to talk about, and therefore I'm trying to move a bit fast to also make sure that the video is not too long. Okay, let's talk about agreement and reference in pronoun usage. Agreement, I'm going to put this on the screen for you. Pronoun must agree with the antecedents in number, gender, and person. We talked about this, but it's very important that you understand that we do not use singular pronoun for plural noun, you need to make sure the number there agrees. For example, you cannot say each student must bring their books. Oh, we like using this, and especially in that time of being gender sensitive, right? We don't want to say he or yeah, because some people, you don't know if they are she or they. Yes, I understand that, but when you are writing formal way, you cannot say each student must bring their book or books. You should say each student must bring his or her books. Each student, because each is singular, therefore student must be singular. So each student, therefore his or her possession must be singular. And when you reference, make sure the pronoun clearly refers to a specific noun. So in a sentence, pronouns must always refer to a specific noun. You cannot start writing with pronouns without mentioning nouns first. Mention the noun and follow it up with a specific or with specific pronouns that refer back to that. If you have got different nouns in a sentence, ensure each of those nouns are followed by appropriate pronouns. Don't mix them. That will bring confusion in your paragraph. Don't do that. Let me give you an example. When Sarah gave her book to Maria, she thanked her. Hey, you see, ambiguous or ambiguity comes as a result of our failure to place pronouns in the appropriate places. In this sense, she thanked her. Who thanked who? Is it Sarah who thanked Maria when giving the book, or is it Maria who thanked Sarah when receiving the book? You see what I said? Make sure you put your pronouns properly, and this is a very important lesson. It's maybe a year 9 or year 7 lesson, but very important. So the correct way, the clearer way would be this. When Sarah gave her books to Maria, Sarah thanked Maria. It's better you bring back the pronoun if it's better you bring back the nouns if the pronouns are going to bring confusion in your writing, because we write to communicate, and to communicate to people may have no idea of what we are talking about. So this is where the lesson ends. In conclusion, it's very important that we look at small but powerful pronouns, because they help us achieve clarity, referring back to nouns, as we have seen, and the different types of pronouns are there for us to use. Okay, before I go, have you subscribed? Have you shared this lesson? And I said, if you find value in this lesson, please don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like and to share. Thank you so much for joining me in this lesson. In the next lesson, let me just look at what we are going to look at. In the next lesson, we are going to start looking at adjectives. So let me see you in when I let me see you when I post a lesson on adjectives. See you and bye bye. Thank you so much for joining in the lesson. I'll see you in the next lesson. Yeah, I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye bye.